So the spoilers for chapter 25 of Boruto Two Blue Vortex is here, and we're about to find out what happens when someone is revived using a Thorn soul bulb. We also have some other reveals to cover, so of course, let's get right into it. So the first panel shows Konohamaru, Himawari, and the rest of Team 10 seemingly in the Hidden Leaf Village. And before we get to the Thorn soul bulb section, I want to point out that Inojin is totally fine, apparently, because the last time we saw him, he had some, issues with his chakra after being stabbed by Jura. So apparently Sakura was able to fix whatever was wrong with his chakra, and this kind of leads into the popular theory that this might have cured him of the effects of omnipotence, but of course there's no way to know at this point in time, so I guess we'll see. I also want to point out that it does seem like some time has passed because Himawari is in a different blouse, and also this one seemingly has Kurama's design in the shape of the sunflower because it has his tails and also his ear. So either some time passed in between when they got back to the village, or this just happened over the course of when they were fighting Jura in the Hidden Sand. And that makes way more sense, by the way, because we know that Jura decided not to kill Boruto in chapter 13 because he thought the Thorn soul bulb would have begun to rot, so he had to revive him quickly. So it would make sense for there to be some massive time skip between when they got back to the village, because obviously they would need to do this as quickly as possible. Now then shows Konohamaru placing the pointy end of the Thorn soul bulb inside the tree itself, and this seemingly is how one goes about reviving someone using a Thorn soul bulb. Now I do have some theories on what happens when one gets revived using a Thorn soul bulb, and I covered this in my recent video, which most of you guys didn't watch, by the way, but it makes sense when you think about what these trees are connected to. I say this because there hasn't been any confirmation as to where this base is located, which opens up a few possibilities. It could be that the base is in Jigen's dimension and Juro was able to summon the roots using the claw mark in chapter 24. Or it could also be the case that the base was never in Jigen's dimension and it's somewhere deep within the planet itself that spawned from the root systems, which by the way is backed up by both a flashback scene with Momoshiki and a panel with Kaguya. This now bolsters the argument of Sasuke regaining his Renegon, because not only is Sasuke encased within the body of a Clawgrime, he's also connected to the planet itself, which of course generates natural energy. And this type of energy has always been linked to healing properties ever since Naruto's manga. So if my theory is correct, which is that once these Clawgrimes take a victim and transform into a defective divine tree, its roots then connect to the root system of the 10 tails embedded within the planet, that person's chakra is then transmitted to that base, thus forming the Thorn soul bulb. This could also have the opposite effect, because if they're now connected to that base, that nature energy can also be transmitted to their bodies, thus enhancing them. So even if these characters don't retain the power of the Shinju, there is a way for them to receive a power-up of some kind. And I do think this would make way more sense, by the way, because you don't want random characters like Moegi being one of the strongest characters in the manga, even surpassing some of the main characters. That wouldn't really make sense. So I do think it would be a bit more acceptable to have them not retain the power of the Shinju, but still receive some amp of sort from the natural energy that flowed into their bodies, which could also then repair any damages such as Sasuke's Renegon and his left hand. Also, I think this works because it does create some kind of a tier system between the characters, because we have to remember that Sasuke has been inside this tree for over 2 years, while Moegi has only been like this for maybe a week or just a few days. We have no idea the timeline, but it hasn't been that long. So Sasuke receiving a greater amp and being way more powerful than Moegi after receiving his Thorn soul bulb would make sense under this system. And I think we've seen evidence of this already with the Bug Shinju being able to press Boruto multiple times and also having the strongest target of all the Shinju. And I would argue him being left for last does validate this viewpoint as well. So under the system that the longer you've been inside one of these trees, the stronger you become, it would make sense why the Bug Shinju is the strongest of the Shinju aside from Jura. Which means while Moegi will come back with some power-up, she might not even be stronger than Bug. At least if he does get revived, which I doubt is going to happen. Now there's also the possibility that Code shows up at this point in time and steals the Thorn Soul Bulb for himself and just consumes it to receive some power up, which could possibly restore his left hand. It would kinda mirror the scene in the war when Minato was trying to transfer the other half of Kurama into Naruto, and then Black Zetsu just popped up at the last moment and got the Nine Tails for himself. They could do something similar here, although, it's not really thematic in any way because there's no relation between the two characters. But of course, Code could up his standing as one of the antagonists in Boruto's manga by sealing Moegi's fate as a tree, and stopping her from being revived, which could cause some distress for the characters. But of course, we'll see what happens. With that said, I did do a post the other day asking for you guys' predictions on the upcoming chapter, and MomeX5 made a very interesting comment, which is something I'm looking forward to as well. They said a moment between Sarada and Sumire telling Sarada that Naruto is still alive, but he's sealed away by Kawaki. And this, I think, could be a very emotional moment in the upcoming chapter, because of course Naruto is the person Sarada looks up to more than anyone else, even Sasuke himself. And to learn that he's still alive after all this time because Boruto didn't tell her, it would be great to see what her reaction would be in that moment. And this could play out in one of two ways: Sarada going crazy on Kawaki because of what he did to Naruto, and this could lead to some softening between Sarada and Kawaki because their relationship is really strained at the moment, so she might understand where he's coming from and they might put it in the past. Although, it could also be the case that she still goes crazy and this just drums up more drama between them, I guess we'll see. Now, we also have Top the Plays that says Momoshiki rubs baby oil on Ada as Damon is tied up watching, which is a very interesting, very crazy imagination there, bro. But we also have a good one that says Boruto will become closer to Himawari and she'll show him that fate is still up to those playing the roles, not the script. Kashinkoji and Boruto will have a falling out when Boruto realizes that Momoshiki isn't as dangerous as he once thought. Mamushi will team up with Code to get Ada, and we'll have an update on ... which I think is referring to Kashinkoji's prescience, but I could be wrong. So I do think this is all very plausible, especially Boruto and Kashinkoji having a falling out, and Mamushi teaming up with Code is unexpected, but they could arrive at the same time and that could work out that way. Though I do think Code is after Boruto and Kashinkoji, so I don't think we'll see him in the fight versus Ada. I will say there is this panel, and I covered this before in my Damon video, where we have the Bug Shinju seemingly being able to use the Shadow Clone Jutsu, or maybe some kind of duplication ability that the Ten Tails does possess, by the way. It's able to create fission beings, and maybe this is one of the abilities of Mamushi. This, I believe, will be very helpful in the battle versus Damon, because I do think, and I'm standing on this until I'm proven wrong, that Damon has to be looking at the person for him to be able to reflect their intent. I went in depth on why this is the case in this video, so watch it after this one, and I think you might agree. Now, as for the theory on Momoshiki not being as dangerous as Boruto thought he was, I do still think that Momoshiki is a problem, but not in the way that he was before. Something important and interesting is happening inside Boruto's body at this point in time, and I'm gonna go into that in my next video, which is gonna come out tomorrow, which explains why Boruto is Shibai. And I know you guys have seen videos on this already from me and from other creators, but I'm sure you guys are gonna enjoy this one because it takes on a different perspective that hasn't been said before. So look out for that video tomorrow or maybe the day afterwards. I'm working on it at this point, so let me know your thoughts on it when it comes out. With that said, guys, that's it for the video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.